Now, he's going to not only make requests for them, but he's very grateful for certain things. And here he says, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. For your fellowship in the gospel. Now we've come to a very important word in this epistle. I have spoken of it before, but actually I've not enlarged upon it at all. What is the word fellowship? What does it really mean? Now, I don't think that it is a word that, even in the church today, is used properly. And certainly the world has taken this up, and they use it a great deal today. They talk about fellowship. I think I've told you about years ago I went down to Huntington Beach once a year, sometimes twice, at either Christmas or Easter time, and spoke at a Rotary Club luncheon. A doctor was chairman of the committee down there, the program committee, and he invited me to come down and give him both barrels, and I generally did because that was always been my method, and we feel like, at least I feel very definitely, that's my business. I have been asked to give an illustrated message of mine on the 7 churches. If I'd leave out the gospel and present it, why, I could go to certain places across the country. Well, I don't do it because that's not my business. My business is to give out the Word of God. And when I give an illustrated message, that's the purpose of it. And when I go to speak at a luncheon like this, I don't go there to entertain the fellas. However, I hope I, give them a few laughs, but that's not my purpose. I go there to give the Word of God. But they had up over the speaker's table food, fun, fellowship. And I want to say that I didn't think they should have bragged about any one of the 3. The food was, well, it was embalmed chicken with peas big as bullets. And then they had fun, was corny jokes like I tell. And the fellowship was patting somebody on the back saying, hello, Bill, how's business? Or how's tricks? But that's not fellowship. Actually, fellowship, the Greek word is koinonia. And it means to share the things of Christ. That's what it means. And there are 3 elements that must enter into it. Spiritual communication is one thing. And second, there must be sympathetic cooperation. And third, there must be sweet communion. Those are the 3 things that enter into fellowship. First, spiritual communication. That is sharing the things of Christ. And second, sympathetic cooperation. Then we work together for Christ. That's the reason when Paul used the word fellowship, he could be talking about Bible reading, Bible study. He could be speaking about prayer. He could be speaking about celebrating the Lord's Supper, or actually taking up an offering. All of those Paul called koinonia, a fellowship. You see, sharing the things of Christ. First would be a spiritual communication. We would be sharing the great truths concerning Christ, as I hope we're doing right now. And then, second, sympathetic cooperation. We could work together. And then the result would be sweet communion. You and I would be partners. And that's what we want you to be in this broadcast, that we might have koinonia, we might have fellowship in the Word of God today, getting the Word of God out. And I don't think there's anything quite like it. Now, that word will be before us again, but Paul says that this church now is having fellowship with him. He had communicated to them the gospel and the Word of God. And they had had sympathetic cooperation because they had shared with Paul. They had sent to him, he'll tell us in the 4th chapter, again and again, they had ministered to him of physical things. And then when they were together, they had had sweet communion. How wonderful it is. Now, Paul says, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. You remember Paul went to that city and he had this wonderful fellowship.